As an European, the American presidential elections are hard to avoid online. You get constantly bombarded with them, and many people that aren't from the USA follow what happens just cause it's kind of like watching a reality show. They are so over the top, people get very passionate about them, way more passionate than in most other places, way more passionate than here in Europe. And a lot of people also make an ass of themselves doing that. So it's quite entertaining. I did follow the 2020 elections to a certain degree. I do think that one shouldn't be ignorant about what is happening elsewhere in the world. And I kind of need to say a few things about that. So here is an European's perspective of the American presidential elections. Since I am left-leaning, I did pay attention to what the Democrats had to offer. I was very disappointed. Out of all nominees, I only liked two, and both were quite chances already from the start. The rest could be summed up with, is this really the best you can offer? Really? Really? I'll go through them quickly. We of course have Biden, who is quite obviously senile, and it's ridiculous how much he relies on Obama nostalgia and media support. Of course he won the nomination in the end, because why not? More about him later in the video. Then we have Elizabeth Warren, who the media hailed for some time as the true progressive candidate and as someone who is very relatable. She is neither. She's also a very bad actress and came across as very fake. And then more people found out about her lying, being Native American, which is quite something.
I'll have totem poles, tomahawks, straw papoose, with swell guilty proof. I'm an Indian too. I sue, I sue. Oh, I'm an Indian, I'm an Indian, I'm an honest Indian Indian. I'm an Indian too.
Yes, I showed this clip. No, it's not offensive to mock someone who lied about their heritage and with that hurt minorities. Fuck her, she lied about this to the very end, and she would have still lied about this to this very day if Trump wouldn't constantly bring this whole thing up, and at the end of the day, the DNA results don't lie. Then we have Kamala, who also came across as very fake, very opportunistic, and she has a lot of skeletons in her closet. So it was quite delightful seeing how she got destroyed by Tulsi.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way. Senator Harris, when you were in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
She then dropped out. But just like a bad case of herpes, she came back as the vice president pick for Biden. Yes, perfect running mate. Pete Buttigieg was also there, and he felt like a Sims character. It was like he was made in a lab somewhere as the perfect candidate, but he came across as Mike Zuckerberg and very fake. Very fake. Like, there was nothing genuine about him, and He then dropped out so that his voters could vote for Biden and screw over the other pick that was way more popular before that. But don't get me wrong, I wasn't rooting for Bernie. He got screwed over hard 2 times in a row, and he would have without a doubt won over Trump, but there are several things why I'm not fond of him. Bernie, being the socialist dreamer that he is, attracted a lot of socialists and even communists. A lot of his surrogates and speakers at events are highly questionable people, like Linda Sarsour, I forgot how her last name is pronounced, and Sean King. Seriously, there were also other bad picks, but those two, seriously, no. You should avoid those 2 people like they are a fucking plague. All in all, people who are quite against democracy really got behind Bernie, or basically they only like democracy when they get what they want, but if they don't get what they want, because democracy doesn't always give you what you want, that's not how it works, then they just want to destroy everything in front of them and punish everybody else, because they are correct and everybody else is wrong. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Granted, Bernie would have been the closest things to their deranged ideals, but he is still a far cry away from it. And this said, I do think that Bernie would have, without a doubt, if he would have won, he would have been by far the biggest disappointment when it comes to keeping his promises. I highly doubt that even a fraction of his promises would actually end up happening. And by the way, to any of his supporters, if they want to now write an essay in the comments, universal affordable healthcare that is not just for the stone rich can be achieved. We have this in Europe, we have this in my country. It has a few flaws, but it's still way better than what you have there in America. And let's just say it like this. We achieved this without needing socialism or communism. You don't want those 2 things. If you want those 2 things, then either you are stupid, ignorant, historically completely ignorant, or just of a rather sinister character. So who else is left? Amy Klobuchar, or should I say Klobuchar? She is, I think her grandfather is from my country. How nice. Ties to Slovenia. But I don't care about her. She came across as also kind of opportunistic and very hot-headed at times. Like, that's the vibe that I got. I didn't like her and I couldn't care less that she dropped out. And then we also have Mike Bloomberg, who entered the race, talked big, spent a lot of money. I don't think, was he thinking that he is an ex-Trump, that he will just sweep over people because he has a lot of cash and can talk shit? But at the end of the day, he didn't convince much people and he dropped out. Great, that's how it should be. So who did I even like from all these people? I did quite like Andrew Yang. He came across as rather reasonable, and of course my favorite was Tulsi Gabbard. She was chanceless due to being constantly hindered from the start by the Democratic establishment, and they hate her because she has integrity, which is not what I can say about most politicians. She is very refreshing, she wasn't pandering to the woke crowd, she wasn't using identity politics, she didn't blindly defend her own side regardless of the situation. That's a horrible thing that is happening everywhere, that people just blindly defend their own side regardless of how wrong it is. And she was just being very open-minded the whole time. Of course, because of all of those things, she was a thorn in the eye for the corrupt people above her, and it came as no surprise that crazy conspiracy theories were made about her, and those conspiracy theories are basically the left's versions Pizzagate, if there was even a fraction of a truth to those conspiracy theories that she is a Russian asset and I don't know what, then that would have caused a huge scandal. There would be a really, really enormous investigation, and if she was found guilty, she would be in jail for a very long time. Since none of this happened, and everything that basically happened from those conspiracy theories are just hit pieces from biased outlets that were only believed by basically the most loyal democratic fan base, one can quickly deduce that there isn't any truth attached to this. Why? Tulsi would have been such a great president. Like, I really want that she becomes president in the future. She just... Why? Why couldn't she? Like, all of this insanity could have been avoided. Anyways, the results are in. It's Biden versus Trump. Really? A loudmouth that the media has to make a big deal over the tiniest things, to the point that even when he does really crazy things, people just stopped caring because the media is just constantly on panic mode for the last 4 years. And his opponent is an old fart who is a creep and half of the time doesn't even know what he's talking about, and he just likes to sniff people.
Hey everyone, I'm Joe Biden's husband. Play the radio, make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone, make sure the kids hear words. A kid coming from a very poor school, or a very poor background, will hear 4 million words fewer spoken by the time they get there. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure. And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
These two, why these two? It's like watching a sketch. It's like watching a really bad comedy. Okay, Biden and Kamala first. Biden, Kamala, there's nothing good I can say about either. I mean, Biden is a creep, like I already said. I don't get why he won the nomination, because it just boils down to people voting for him because. Just vote for him because he's the best choice. Like, that was the whole thing. Why vote for him? Because he's not Trump. Like, I highly doubt most people who voted for him in the primaries even could give one good reason why he should be the pick. It was just because that media outlet said he's the best choice. Okay, vote. But why? Okay, as I said, the media did all of his job, and his campaign was and still is beyond underwhelming. Nothing bad about him even got published from the left-wing media and from even the centrists, which is kind of insane because they even publish about things about Hillary back. It was limited, but at least they published something. But for Biden, they actually censored people. They censored people who wanted to report him. They even told him you cannot report those stories. And all of the scandals that happened, all of the scandals from his son, like, everything was just pushed under the rug and was like, nothing to see here. Like, you cannot even talk about this on social media. Twitter, Facebook censors all of this. It's insane. I don't think that this should happen. It reminds me very much of Russia or how communism worked back in my country before we abandoned all of that crap. Like, you couldn't talk about certain things. You simply were not allowed to talk about certain things. You could get in trouble for doing that. And I see things like that happening now in the West because of biases. Because of fucking political bias. And it's insane. It worries me. Like, this shouldn't happen. This simply shouldn't happen. And well, then we have Kamala, who Yeah, she's Cop Hillary. Like, that sums her up. And it seems like the plan is for Biden to basically give her the position or just let her do everything. And he just stands there in the background. Like, this meme here sums it up. These two were literally the worst picks for me. I liked them the least out of everybody in the Democratic primary, and here we are. Here we are. Oh boy, as of Trump. Well, what can we say about him? For the last 4 years, people have lost their minds about him. And don't get me wrong, he is a disaster. But it's just too much. People are acting like he is literally Hitler. He's not. He's America's Berlusconi. A ridiculous choice for a president, but damn does it just reflect America's image. They said, my dear shouting activists that want to destroy everything when they don't get what they want. Fascists can just be voted out and be never heard of again. And compared to many world leaders, especially in the East over there. Furthermore, there was also George W. Bush, who was a way worse president than Trump is currently. And yeah, all of the shit that happened under Bush, no. Since I'm not completely Orange Man bad, but I'm also not Orange Man good, yeah, this of course means that some bright minds would now try to say that I'm rooting for Trump. I'm not. I just don't care if he wins at this point. But I never supported him really. I don't support Republicans. I hate their science denial. I hate their connections to religion. I just do not agree with almost any of their positions, and their takes on the environment in general are just so cringy and just so behind our times that I simply cannot believe that things like this are still said by people in 2020. Like, people who completely deny everything that they don't want to hear because it's inconvenient. I mean, okay, the left also has similar things, but here's the reason why I don't support the right at all. Okay, I'll give Trump this though. The Middle East is finally getting their shit together, which a few years ago I simply didn't think could ever happen. Then again, George W. Bush and Obama happened, and they messed up those areas quite badly, those two. Some people also try to blame Trump for now the rise of the woke nonsense, and he's not the cause of it. He's not an enabler of them. He's just an excuse for them. People, well, already bending their knees to this woke nonsense even before Trump was even running for president. The insanity began way before that. And I am certain that all of this would have even happened if Trump wasn't president. Yeah, but that's a whole other can of worms. I think that from my video I can safely say that the two-party system is highly flawed. I appreciate very much that I live here where I am, because the two-party system is not a thing here, and well, what can I say? There's just so much corruption on both sides, so much bias, and I just have to ask myself why. The reality is that many things don't even change because of the two-party system. Because the main thing that changes is just the attitude of the people. If the Democrats win, then the left-leaning people are completely happy, everything is working fine, and then the Republicans are acting crazy, and if the Republicans win, it's just flipped. No, please, don't be a sheep like that. Please, no. So, who should you vote for? Whoever you think deserves your vote. You shouldn't be pressured into voting for someone. Don't listen to people who try to guilt trip you by saying, not voting or voting third party, it's a vote for Trump or a vote for Biden, depending on where it comes from, because it is not. It simply isn't. Tell those people to simply fuck off. Like, these people are so fucking toxic online. I cannot imagine how unbearable they must be as relatives in real life. I so cannot vote. And even if I could, I wouldn't vote for anybody because both choices, just like in 2016, disgust me. And this time, even the third party picks are terrible. And this is not the only deja vu I'm getting in regards of 2016. I think that Biden will win, but I also have a gut feeling that Trump will win in the end, which is just like in 2016 when it came to Hillary and Trump, and I could see all of what happened in 2016 happen all over again because many things just gave me a huge deja vu. Well, at least we won't have to wait for a long time to see the results. Either way, a lot of salt is going to happen because people are just insane when it comes to this. Either we will get 4 more years of people screeching over nothing, or we'll get 4 years of media denying everything, every bad thing that is happening, even all the things that they are currently talking about will be completely ignored because other people are in charge. Like, how much did you hear about kids in cages and how many people Obama deported when Obama was the president? Because he did way worse things than Trump did on those. But you constantly now hear this because Trump is president. Before that, it was just media silence. And that is not okay. I hate that. Oh well, I just needed to say all of this. Thank you for listening. See you soon. Bye.